Hey guys, welcome to Tianshi Recaps. I'm your Tianshi. Get ready for a spine-chilling and hilarious ride as we explore the horror thriller movie called Housebound. The movie kicks off with Kylie, a small-time crook attempting to break into an ATM for some easy cash. But just as she thinks she's pulling off a smooth heist, bad luck strikes. Her getaway plan falls apart when her car gets stuck on a speed bump. Before she can even curse her misfortune, sirens wail, and within moments the police swarm in, busted again. Cut to the courtroom, Kylie's lawyer does his best to plead her case, but the judge he's seen this act before multiple times. He's not buying any excuses. But instead of throwing her straight into jail, he decides to give her one last warning. This time she's getting house arrest for 8 long months. There's just one little problem: Kylie doesn't have a house. And so with no choice, she's forced to return to her mother's house, the very place she ran away from years ago. Enter Amos, a security contractor who straps an ankle monitor on her leg and makes it clear, step outside and the cops will come running. Irritated and trapped, Kylie wanting to make a call, she realizes there's no signal. Desperate, she picks up the old landline, but her mother is on the phone and she just won't stop talking. Frustrated, Kylie turns on the radio instead, only to hear her mother's voice coming through. Confused, she listens closer. Turns out her mom isn't just talking, she's calling into a paranormal radio show, dramatically recounting a chilling ghost encounter in their very own home. Her mother recounts a terrifying experience. She once went down to the basement and there it was a ghost. The lights flickered ominously, shadows moved, and ever since then strange things have been happening in the house. Kylie listens deadpan. Ghosts? Really? She rolls her eyes that her mother has officially lost it. That night, while brushing her teeth, Kylie hears a strange noise upstairs. She pauses and listens, then shrugs it off. Probably just a rat. Not her problem. She heads to bed. The next morning, her mother heads out, leaving Kylie alone. Bored, she decides to use the old computer, but the thing is practically an antique. Smoke starts puffing out of it. Frustrated, she heads to the basement, but something about the place feels off. Then Dennis, her court-appointed psychologist, drops by, asking his usual probing questions. Kylie gives half-hearted answers, and soon he's gone. Later, her mom returns, only to find the house looking like a tornado hit it. The house is a disaster. Kylie's done absolutely nothing except add to the mess. She won't even let her mom watch TV. Annoyed, she starts wondering, how does she get rid of Kylie? Meanwhile, Kylie dozes off in a chair when suddenly a ring from her phone. It's coming from the basement. As she hesitantly approaches, a hand shoots out and grabs her leg. Kylie, in full panic mode, bolts upstairs. Her mother finds her screaming and instead of comforting her just nods smugly. Told you. There's a ghost. Before Kylie can roll her eyes, footsteps echo from the stairs. Her mom's face goes pale because her husband is working in the night shift. Kylie, convinced it's an intruder, grabs the nearest object and starts wailing on the figure. After a dramatic scuffle, the ghost finally gets a word in. It's Amos, the security contractor. Instead of dismissing Kylie's mom's ghost stories, Amos leans in. With a recorder in hand, he starts asking questions, hoping for a paranormal response, but nothing. He returns the next day with cameras, radar, and every ghost-hunting gadget he can find. Turns out he's really into this kind of stuff. That night, while sleeping, Kylie gets the eerie sensation that someone is watching her. She turns and sees a doll sits there staring, and then it speaks to her. With pure terror and without hesitation, she chucks it into the fire. Problem solved, she thinks. But the next day, while taking a bath, she glances over. The half-burned doll is back. Kylie screams and hurls it out of the bathroom. Amos sees the doll and immediately assumes Kylie is messing with them. Annoyed, he leaves. Kylie, frustrated, and wonders why no one believes her. As she sits in frustration, a creaking sound echoes behind her. A cupboard door slowly swings open. Suspicious. She grabs a drill and pries the door off. And just like that, another small hidden door appears inside. She opens it. Inside, more dolls. Old, dusty, and disturbing. Before she can process this, her stepfather interrupts, asking for help. As they work, she casually asks about the house. Why is it cluttered with so much random stuff? His answer is donations. Later, Kylie heads to the basement, flipping through old books. Almost everyone is stamped with the same name, Sunshine Grove. Digging deeper, she finds old files. One in particular stands out, a file of a girl. Curious, she looks up the name online. And then shock. The girl was brutally murdered in this very house. Kylie is stunned by her discovery and immediately questions her mother, but she is just as clueless. The house had been bought by Kylie's father a decade ago, and only later they learn about the gruesome murder tied to it. Determined to dig deeper, Kylie calls Amos and presents him with old newspaper clippings. A teenage girl had been brutally killed in the house, stabbed with a fork by an unknown assailant. With no leads, the case went cold and the house was eventually put up for sale. Convinced she's living in a crime scene haunted by its past, Kylie reaches out to her lawyer and counselor Dennis, demanding to be relocated. But the request is denied. She has to complete at least 3 months of house arrest unless she can provide solid proof of a supernatural presence. As the argument escalates, the lights begin to flicker. The power suddenly cuts out, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. Moments later, the electricity surges back, revealing a chilling sight. Dennis sprawled on the floor, visibly attacked by something lurking in the house. The police arrive and take Dennis away, but instead of investigating the strange events, they turn their suspicion toward Kylie. With her history of trouble, they assume she's behind the chaos. Frustrated and panicked, Kylie packs her bags and escape, but Amos stops her. He reminds her that she too is a young woman, just like the murdered girl. Maybe the ghost isn't haunting the house for revenge. Maybe it needs help. Moved by the thought, Kylie agrees to confront whatever is lurking in the basement. She calls out to the spirit Elizabeth. As Kylie asks if Elizabeth has something to say, a small door creaks open. Inside, she finds a set of false teeth. Before she can process it, another noise draws her attention. Following the sound, she discovers an old vent and pries it open, revealing a dusty box. Inside, she finds a valuable vintage watch and a stash of drugs. Suspicious, she shows the items to Amos and immediately begins to piece things together. Her mind turns to the old neighbor who has been living nearby long before her mother moved in. The dentures could be his, and if that's true, then maybe he was the one who killed Elizabeth. As if to confirm her suspicions, Kylie and Amos watches him struggle to open a bottle before casually removing his dentures with practiced ease. Determined to prove her theory, Kylie sneaks into the old man's house while he's asleep, carefully reaching into his mouth to snatch his dentures. Just as she almost succeeds, he wakes up. Startled, Kylie bolts with the furious man chasing her. She dashes into the basement, grabs a massive pair of grass-cutting shears, and braces herself. The door creaks open. Without thinking, she stabs. But it's not the old man, it's her stepfather. Horrified by her own actions, guilt washes over her. Realizing she's been making everything worse, she decides to change. She cleans, helps around the house, and tries to restore normalcy. However, Amos isn't done. He breaks into the neighbor's house and uncovers stacks of old newspapers about Elizabeth's murder. Snapping photos, he turns to leave, only to find the old man waiting. With an eerie calmness, the man leads Amos to the backyard, ready to confess the dark truth. Years ago, a woman arrived seeking refuge with a young boy, Eugen. Out of pity, the man took them in. But one day, the woman vanished, abandoning the boy. Eugen was different. One night, he took apart an entire engine, then rebuilt it perfectly. The next day, he did the same, but this time with a cat. Dismembering it piece by piece, then trying to reassemble it. Horrified, the old man knew he had to stop him. But before he could act, Eugen vanished into the night and was never seen again. The old man is certain now that Eugen is the killer they've been searching for, and he leads Amos to a hidden tunnel, explaining that Eugen never lived in the house, but beneath it. Meanwhile, Kylie, still determined to set things right at home, she stumbles upon a small opening in the kitchen wall. Curiosity gets the better of her, and she squeezes through, finding herself in what looks like a hidden tunnel. On the other side, Amos is still skeptical. How could a child have murdered Elizabeth? His eyes fall on the half-burned doll, the one Kylie had claimed was talking. Rolling his eyes, he picks it up only to discover a tiny cassette hidden inside. Intrigued, he plays it on a Walkman. Elizabeth's frightened voice fills his ears. She is terrified, saying her mother won't believe her about someone living in the basement. Then a voice answers her, "I am Eugen." Amos freezes. At the same time, Kylie pushes deeper into the tunnel. She turns a corner and sees something horrifying. A filthy, wild-looking man, his hair long and unkempt like a crazed ascetic, sits watching TV, surrounded by a horde of stolen electronics. It hits Kylie all at once. The flickering lights, the missing food, the strange noises. Her mother wasn't paranoid after all. Then the man turns. Kylie runs for her life. The man lunges, chasing her through the tunnel. She bursts out of the house and into her car, but he doesn't stop. He slams against the windows, clawing at the doors. Somehow she manages to escape, speeding through the dark streets until she reaches the police station. Breathless and shaking, she barges inside and shouts that there is someone in her basement who has been hiding there for years. The police refuse to believe Kylie, convinced she is either hallucinating or making things up. Just as they are about to leave, Amos arrives and supports her claim. Everyone returns to the house to investigate, but there is still no evidence and no one takes her seriously. Her mother remains convinced it is a ghost haunting the house rather than a real person. The police confiscate the drugs and vintage watch, concluding that Kylie's erratic behavior is due to drug use, and leave without further action. Dennis, the counselor, arrives and dismisses her claims, reminding her that first she accused a ghost and now she is blaming a psychopath. He insists she cannot leave and must stay for the remaining 7 months. Everyone assumes Kylie is losing her mind and decides to stay overnight to monitor her behavior. Kylie's mother brings tea and biscuits, trying to lighten the mood. As Dennis eats, Kylie's eyes widen in shock when she sees him remove his teeth set. The missing teeth, the old dentures she found, the murder of Elizabeth, it all suddenly makes sense. She quietly pulls her mother aside and insists she needs to check Elizabeth's file, asking her to distract Dennis until she returns. In the basement, Kylie searches through old records and finds the horrifying truth. Elizabeth was an adopted girl and her assigned counselor had been Dennis. He was the one who abused her and silenced her forever. Kylie rushes back upstairs, her heart pounding as she shares the revelation with her mother. The moment Dennis realizes they know the truth, his friendly demeanor vanishes. His face contorts with rage, and without hesitation he charges at them, his polite act dissolving into pure madness as the real monster inside him emerges. Kylie and her mother ran, slamming the door shut behind them as Dennis pounded against it, determined to break through. Desperate for an escape, they rushed toward another door, but when Kylie's mother yanked it open, she froze in horror. Inside the bathroom lay a police officer, lifeless, already killed by Dennis. Panic surged through them, but before they could react, Dennis broke in. They barely managed to slip away, barricading themselves inside another bathroom. Kylie's mind raced for a way out. She realized if she broke her ankle monitor, the police would be alerted. While she struggled to snap it off, her mother frantically searched for something sharp. She pulled open a cupboard and gasped. Inside, staring back at her, was Yujin. Both women screamed in shock. Before they could process it, Dennis crashed through again, forcing them to flee down into the dark tunnel where Yujin had been hiding for 10 years. The space was cluttered with scraps of electronics, old monitors, and wires tangled like a mad scientist's lab. Yujin followed them. Kylie turned on him, furious that he had stayed silent all these years. He had seen Elizabeth's murder and never spoke up. Yujin, unfazed, simply replied that if he had, they would have blamed him. He had always known it was safer to remain hidden. Before the argument could continue, the walls suddenly cracked as Dennis forced his way in. Without hesitation, he lunged at Kylie, knocking her to the ground before turning his attention to her mother. Wrapping a telephone wire around her neck, he tightened his grip as she gasped for air, struggling to free herself. Yujin grabbed a spoon and tossed it to Kylie. She stabbed Dennis in the neck. The moment the metal made contact, a surge of electricity shot through Dennis' body. Yujin, despite his strange ways, was a genius. The spoon was wired to an power source, and in an instant Dennis convulsed violently before his head exploded, ending his reign of terror. 8 months later, Amos arrived to remove Kylie's ankle monitor, marking the end of her sentence. Smiled and reached for her camera to record the moment, only to realize the battery was missing. Yujin, now officially part of the family, his mischief had only just begun. Kylie groaned, calling his name in frustration. As the screen faded to black, the movie ended. Hope you had a thrilling ride. Until the next adventure, stay spooky and stay sharp. See you soon. Bye.